I found something in our bedroom that made everything I thought I knew about my marriage crumble into dust. A positive pregnancy test, hidden inside Britney's makeup bag. We'd been trying for months with no success, and my first reaction was pure joy. My name is Joel, I'm 31, and I work as an architect in Milwaukee. Britney and I met 4 years ago at an art gallery opening downtown. She was 27 then, already making a name for herself as a stylist with a growing client base. Our wedding 3 years ago was small, intimate, just close friends and family at a lakefront venue. Looking back now, William was there. Her best friend since college, the photographer who documented our entire relationship. I should have seen it sooner. The pregnancy test changed everything. I sat on our bathroom floor for an hour, staring at those 2 pink lines, doing math in my head. We'd been intimate regularly, but I had been busy with work for the past few weeks, and something felt wrong. The timing, her behavior, the late nights at client consultations. I tried to rationalize it at first. Maybe I'd become paranoid. Maybe I was looking for problems where none existed. But the test was real, hidden away like a secret she wasn't ready to share. With me, her husband. I replayed the last few months in my mind. The way she'd started keeping her phone face down on tables. How she'd changed her passcode from our anniversary date to something I didn't know. The new lingerie I'd found in her drawer that she'd never worn for me. Little things that alone meant nothing, but together painted a picture I'd been refusing to see. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I called my brother Victor, an accountant who'd always been better at keeping secrets than I was. He came over that evening, while Britney was supposedly working late at the salon. "You need to be sure before you accuse her," Victor said, nursing a beer on our couch. "Check your bank accounts first. Look at everything." Victor had been through a messy breakup himself 2 years ago. His girlfriend had drained their joint account before leaving. He'd learned the hard way to protect himself financially, and he wasn't about to let me make the same mistakes. We spent 2 hours going through our finances on my laptop. Victor showed me how to access credit reports, how to check for accounts I didn't know about, how to look for patterns in spending that didn't match Britney's usual behavior. That's when I discovered the first discrepancy. Britney had opened a credit card in both our names 6 months ago, something I'd never authorized. The statements showed charges at hotels in Chicago, Madison, even a weekend trip to Door County that she'd told me was a solo creative retreat. "This is deliberate," Victor said, his voice tight. "She's using your credit, your name, to finance whatever this is." But it was the restaurant charges that caught my attention. Romantic places along the Milwaukee River, high-end steakhouses, wine bars I'd always wanted to take her to but she'd said were too expensive. The most recent charge was from 3 days ago, a place called Riverview Terrace, known for its intimate atmosphere and lakefront views. "Who goes to Riverview Terrace for a client consultation?" Victor asked. "That place is couples only basically. They don't even have a bar area for business meetings." The evidence was mounting, but I still needed more. I needed to see it with my own eyes. I created a new bank account the next morning, transferring half of our savings, money I'd inherited from my grandfather and some bonuses from recent architectural projects. I wasn't trying to hide assets. I was protecting what was legitimately mine before things got worse. The banker, an older woman named Patricia, gave me a knowing look as she processed the paperwork. "I've been doing this job for 30 years, she said quietly. "I've seen this situation before. You're smart to protect yourself now, before things get complicated." I didn't tell her what was happening. I didn't need to. The look on my face probably said everything. I also started documenting everything. I created a private folder on my computer with screenshots of the credit card statements, the hotel receipts, copies of our text message history, showing all her late-night work emergencies. I felt like a detective investigating my own life, and I hated every second of it. But I also felt a strange sense of clarity. For months, I'd felt like something was off, like I was missing something obvious. Now I knew I wasn't crazy. My instincts had been right. The next step was harder. I needed proof. Britney mentioned she had a big client consultation on Thursday evening at her salon. She'd be working late, maybe until 9 or 10. I told her I had a site inspection in Waukesha that would keep me busy until midnight. Instead, I parked near her salon at 6:30. William's silver Honda was already in the lot. I watched them leave together at 7:15, laughing, his hand on her lower back in a way that was far too familiar. They drove separately to Riverview Terrace. I waited 5 minutes before following. The drive felt surreal. I knew what I was going to find, but part of me still hoped I was wrong. Maybe they were just friends having dinner. Maybe I was overreacting, being paranoid, destroying my marriage over nothing. But when I pulled into the restaurant parking lot and saw both their cars, something inside me went cold and certain. The hostess tried to stop me when I walked in, but I spotted them immediately. Corner booth, candlelight, Britney's hand across the table holding William's. She was wearing the emerald dress I'd bought her for our anniversary, the one she said made her feel beautiful. I didn't make a scene. I pulled out my phone, took several photos from different angles, and left before they noticed me. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely drive home. I sat in my car in our parking garage for 40 minutes, just staring at the photos on my phone. In one of them, William was leaning across the table, kissing her. In another, they were laughing at something, completely comfortable with each other. They looked like a couple. They looked happy. Everything I'd built with Britney, our home, our plans, our future, felt like it was collapsing in real time. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay next to her in our bed, watching her breathe, wondering how long this had been happening. How many lies had I swallowed? How many times had William sat in our living room, eating our food, pretending to be my friend too? The pregnancy test suddenly made sickening sense. Britney came home around 11, smelling like expensive wine and William's cologne. I recognized it because he'd worn it to our wedding. She kissed my cheek and said the client consultation had gone well, that she might land a contract with a local fashion boutique. I said nothing, just watched her get ready for bed, brush her teeth, remove her makeup. The same routine as always, like nothing had changed. Like she hadn't just spent the evening with another man, wearing the dress I'd bought her. "You're quiet tonight," she said, sliding into bed beside me. "Is everything okay?" "Just tired," I lied. "The Waukesha project is complicated." She accepted this without question, rolled over, and fell asleep within minutes. I stared at the ceiling until dawn, planning my next move. Friday morning, I called in sick to work and went to see a lawyer. Marcia Hoffman came highly recommended, tough, thorough, and discreet. I showed her everything, the photos, the credit card statements, the hotel receipts. "Wisconsin is a no-fault divorce state," she explained, "but evidence of infidelity can affect property division and other considerations. You did the right thing documenting everything." Marcia was in her 50s, sharp-eyed and professional. Her office was filled with family photos, her own marriage, her kids, grandkids. I wondered if she'd ever dealt with betrayal like this in her personal life, or if she just saw it every day in her professional one. "There's something else," I said. "She's pregnant. I don't think it's mine." Marcia's expression didn't change. "We'll need to address that carefully. But Joel, you need to confront her soon. This kind of secret keeping, it'll eat you alive." I don't know what to say to her. Start with the truth. Tell her you know. Don't give her details yet. Let her tell you her version first. People often reveal more than they mean to when they're caught off guard. I left her office with a plan. Confront Britney this weekend. File for divorce on Monday. Try to salvage whatever dignity I had left. I went back to the salon that afternoon. Not to talk to Britney, but to talk to Carolina, the receptionist who'd worked there for 5 years. We'd always been friendly. I'd designed the layout for the salon's expansion 2 years ago. "Carolina, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." She looked uncomfortable immediately. "Joel, I don't think." "Please. How long has it been going on?" She closed her eyes. "Since last spring. Maybe April?" William started coming around more often, bringing her lunch, staying after hours. I thought maybe I was imagining things at first, but then she trailed off. "I'm sorry. I didn't know how to tell you. Did anyone else know?" Emily from the front desk suspected. "We talked about it once. But Brittany's the boss, and William well, everyone thought he was gay, honestly. He's so close with Britney, always has been. People assumed." That detail hit me hard. The perfect cover. No one questions a woman spending time with her gay best friend. Except William wasn't gay. He'd dated women throughout college, Britney had told me. But somewhere along the way, they'd constructed this narrative that protected them both. Carolina looked miserable. I should have said something. But I needed this job, and I didn't have proof, and... "It's not your fault," I told her. "None of this is your fault." But inside, I was calculating. April. That meant this had been going on for at least 6 months. Half a year of lies, of deception, of making a fool out of me, while everyone at her salon knew the truth. I spent the weekend pretending everything was normal. We went to the farmer's market on Saturday morning, had brunch at our favorite cafe. Britney talked about baby names, about converting the spare room into a nursery. Every word felt like a knife. She suggested Oliver for a boy, Emma for a girl. She talked about paint colors, about buying a crib, about how excited she was to become a mother. The entire conversation was surreal. She was discussing raising another man's child with me, her husband, as if I'd never find out the truth. "What do you think about Oliver?" she asked, sipping her latte. "I've always loved that name." "It's nice," I managed to say. "You don't sound enthusiastic." "Just processing," I said. "It's a big change." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I know you're scared, but we're going to be amazing parents, Joel. I can feel it." The manipulation was breathtaking. Or maybe she actually believed her own lies. I couldn't tell anymore. We walked through the third ward after brunch, looking at baby stores, discussing our future like it was real. Part of me wanted to scream the truth right there on the street. But I held it in, waiting for the right moment. Sunday evening, I told her I knew. She denied it at first, obviously. Called me paranoid, accused me of not trusting her. But when I showed her the photos from the restaurant, her face went pale. "It's not what it looks like," she said. "Then what is it?" She couldn't answer. Or wouldn't. "Is the baby William's?" The silence that followed was answer enough. "I need to think," she finally whispered. "This is all so complicated." "Complicated?" I felt something cold settle in my chest. "We're married, Britney. You're pregnant with another man's child. What's complicated about that?" She started crying, but they felt like performance tears. "You don't understand. William and I, we have history. Before you, before everything. We were always supposed to be together, but the timing was never right, and then you came along and you were so good, so stable, and I thought I could make it work." "Make it work?" I interrupted. "Is that what I was? A consolation prize?" "No. God, Joel, I did love you. I do love you. But William." "William what?" "William is your soulmate. William is the one you really wanted. Then why did you marry me, Britney? Why did we spend 3 years building a life together if I was just the backup plan?" She had no answer. Just tears and excuses and half-truths that made everything worse. "Get out." "What?" "Get out of this apartment. Tonight. Go stay with William. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to know you're carrying his child." "Joel, please." "Now." She flinched. I'd never raised my voice at her before. In 3 years of marriage, we'd barely even argued. She left with a suitcase an hour later. I watched her car pull away from our third-floor window. Then I called Victor. She admitted it, I told him. "Everything. What do you need?" "Help me change all the passwords. Bank accounts, utilities, everything. And I need you to be my witness if this gets ugly." Victor came over immediately. We spent the night securing my finances, changing locks, documenting everything. He ordered pizza around midnight, and we ate it in silence, watching some mindless action movie neither of us paid attention to. "You're going to be okay," Victor said as he left around 2 in the morning. "It doesn't feel like it now, but you will be." I wanted to believe him. The next week was a blur of legal paperwork and difficult conversations. Britney tried calling repeatedly, but I let everything go to voicemail. William tried reaching out too, sending long text messages about how things just happened and how they never meant to hurt anyone. The messages were pathetic. He talked about how he and Britney had reconnected last spring, how their old feelings had resurfaced, how they'd tried to fight it but love won out. As if this was some romantic story instead of a betrayal of the worst kind. I blocked them both. Marcia worked quickly. The divorce papers were filed within 10 days. Because we'd only been married 3 years and had no children together, and because I had clear documentation of her infidelity and financial deception, things moved faster than I expected. "The judge will be sympathetic," Marcia told me. "You have a strong case. The unauthorized credit card, the documented affair, the pregnancy. This is pretty clear-cut." But even with a strong case, the process was exhausting. Every form I signed felt like another piece of my life being dismantled. Our joint checking account. Our shared car insurance. The apartment lease we'd renewed just 6 months ago, planning to stay another year. I had to tell my parents. That conversation was brutal. My mother cried. My father just looked angry, asking why I hadn't called sooner, why I'd waited so long to tell them. "I needed to process it first," I explained. "I needed to know what I was going to do." "We never trusted her," my father said. "Something always felt off." "Don't say that," my mother countered. "We like Britney just fine. This isn't about us being right. This is about Joel being hurt." They offered to come to Milwaukee, to stay with me, to help however they could. I told them I needed space, needed time. They reluctantly agreed, but called every day to check on me. The real surprise came 3 weeks later when Marcia called me into her office. "Brittany's lawyer contacted me," she said. "She's agreed to most of our terms. Equal division of the apartment equity. She keeps her business, you keep your inheritance and the savings you transferred. But there's something else." "What?" "She terminated the pregnancy last week." I sat down heavily. Whatever I'd been feeling, anger, betrayal, hurt, suddenly mixed with something more complicated. Relief? Guilt? I wasn't sure. "William's decision, apparently," Marcia continued. "According to her lawyer, he wasn't ready for fatherhood. They had a fight. He broke things off. The irony was almost funny. Britney had destroyed our marriage for William, gotten pregnant with his child, and he'd dumped her anyway. All that pain, all that deception, and for what? "She wants to talk to you," Marcia said. I advised against it, but she's insistent. "No. Joel. No. She made her choices. She lied to me for months, maybe longer. She got pregnant with another man's child while we were married. She stole from me, those credit cards, those hotel stays, all on money we earned together. And now that William dumped her, she wants to talk." "No." Marcia nodded. "I thought you'd say that. I'll let her lawyer know." The divorce was finalized in early December. We met once, briefly, at the lawyer's offices to sign the final papers. Britney looked smaller, somehow diminished. She tried to catch my eye, but I focused on the documents in front of me. The whole process took less than an hour. 3 years of marriage, dissolved in a conference room with bad fluorescent lighting and stale coffee. As we left the building separately, my lawyer pulled me aside. "Her salon is struggling," Marcia said quietly. "Word got around about the affair. She's lost several major clients. Emily and Carolina both quit last month." I should have felt satisfaction, but I didn't feel much of anything anymore. The numbness was almost worse than the anger had been. At least anger was something, a fire that kept me moving. This emptiness felt like drowning in slow motion. I kept the apartment. Britney moved into a smaller place on the east side. William, I heard through mutual acquaintances we still had, moved to Minneapolis for a job opportunity. Or maybe he was just running away. I didn't care enough to find out. The hardest part was running into people who knew us as a couple. Milwaukee isn't that big. I'd see clients at coffee shops, colleagues at restaurants, and they'd ask how Britney was when we were planning to start a family. I developed a short script: "We're divorced." I'd rather not discuss it. Most people respected that, but some pushed. They wanted details, wanted to know what happened, wanted to gossip about the drama. I learned to walk away from those conversations, to protect what little privacy I had left. Winter in Milwaukee is brutal, and that first winter alone was the longest of my life. I threw myself into work, taking on bigger projects, staying late at the office. My boss, Thad, pulled me aside in January. "You're doing great work, Joel," he said, "but you look exhausted. When's the last time you took a vacation?" "I'm fine." "You're not. Take a week. Go somewhere warm. Clear your head." I ended up in Arizona, visiting my college roommate who'd moved to Phoenix. The desert air, the sunshine, the distance from everything, it helped. Not healed, but helped. My roommate, Greg, took me hiking in Sedona, out to bars in Scottsdale, forced me to be social even when I didn't want to be. He didn't ask many questions about what happened. Just let me exist without judgment. "You'll figure it out," he said one night over beers. "Life has a way of sorting itself out, even when it feels impossible." When I got back to Milwaukee, I made a decision. I was going to sell the apartment. Too many memories, too many ghosts. I found a small house in Bayview, near the water, with a studio space perfect for a home office. Starting over felt right. The apartment sold quickly. The couple who bought it was young, engaged, excited about their future together. I wondered if they'd be happier there than Britney and I had been. I hoped so. Moving day was in March. Victor helped me pack, and as we loaded boxes into the truck, he asked, "You doing okay?" "Yeah," I said. And for the first time in months, I meant it. I heard through the grapevine that Britney had to close her salon in February. The financial strain, combined with her reputation taking hits, made it impossible to continue. She was working at someone else's salon now, just a regular stylist again. Not the boss, not building her empire, just surviving. Part of me felt bad for her, but mostly I felt nothing. She'd made her choices. This was the consequence. William never came back to Milwaukee. Someone told me he'd gotten engaged to a woman in Minneapolis, which seemed ironic given everything. Maybe he and Britney never had what they thought they had. Maybe it was all fantasy and stolen moments and the thrill of deception. I'll never know, and I've stopped trying to understand. By April, I was settled into the new house. I'd started dating again, nothing serious, just coffee dates and casual dinners. I wasn't ready for anything heavy, and I was honest about that with everyone I met. Some women appreciated the transparency, others disappeared after a date or two. That was okay. I learned to cook properly, took up running along the lakefront, started reading again, things I'd neglected during my marriage. I was rediscovering who I was outside of being Britney's husband. One evening, I was at a gallery opening, different from the one where I'd met Britney but similar energy. I was admiring an architectural photography series when someone tapped my shoulder. "Joel." I turned. It was Emily, the receptionist from Britney's salon. "Emily, hi. How are you?" "Good. Really good, actually. I'm managing a new salon in Shorewood now. Much better environment." She paused. "Listen, I never got to tell you. I'm really sorry about everything that happened. We all liked you." "Thanks. That means a lot. Are you doing okay?" "Yeah," I said. "I really am." And it was true. The anger had faded, replaced by something calmer. Acceptance, maybe. Understanding that some people aren't capable of the honesty and loyalty that relationships require. That betrayal says more about the betrayer than the betrayed. I stayed at the gallery for another hour, talking to Emily about her new job, about art, about Milwaukee's changing neighborhoods. When we parted ways, she hugged me and said, "You're going to be fine, Joel. Better than fine." Summer came, and with it a major project at work, designing a mixed-use development on the river, residential and commercial space that would reshape part of downtown. It was the biggest opportunity of my career, and I poured everything into it. Thad told me it was some of my best work. "You've got a real vision for this city," he said, reviewing my designs. "This could put our firm on the map." The project would take years to complete, but I was okay with that. I'd learned that good things take time, that rushing leads to mistakes, that foundations need to be solid before you build anything lasting. The development included green spaces, pedestrian walkways, mixed-income housing, everything I believed architecture should be. Creating spaces where communities could thrive, where people could build lives together. It felt meaningful in a way my work hadn't before the divorce. Like I was building something that mattered, something that would outlast my own pain. I still think about Britney sometimes, not with anger or longing, but with a kind of distant curiosity. I wonder if she thinks about me, if she regrets her choices, if she ever really loved me at all. But those thoughts don't keep me up at night anymore. Victor invited me to his lake house in August, a weekend getaway with some of his friends. I almost said no. I wasn't great at being social yet, at pretending to be okay in groups. But something made me say yes. That weekend I met someone. Nothing dramatic, no lightning bolt moment. Just a woman named Rachel who laughed at my jokes and asked intelligent questions about architecture and didn't seem bothered by the fact that I was divorced. We exchanged numbers. We texted. We made plans. Rachel was a teacher, funny and smart and straightforward in a way I appreciated. She'd been divorced too, a few years ago, so she understood the complexity of starting over. "I'm not looking for anything serious right now," I told her on our first coffee date. "That's fine," she said. "Neither am I. Let's just see what happens." There was no pressure, no expectations. Just two people who'd been hurt before, taking things slow, being honest about where they were. I'm not naive enough to think that erases what happened with Britney. Trauma doesn't work that way, but it felt like a door opening, a possibility I hadn't considered before. Fall arrived again, 1 year since I'd found that pregnancy test. 1 year since my marriage imploded. The leaves turned gold and red, the air got crisp, and I realized I'd survived. More than survived, I'd rebuilt. The divorce taught me things I wish I'd never had to learn. That trust is earned and easily destroyed. That love without honesty is just performance. That you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved, and you can't force someone to love you the way you deserve to be loved. But it also taught me that I was stronger than I thought. That I could make hard choices, protect myself, and build something new from the wreckage of something broken. I sold my half of everything we'd built together and didn't look back. Britney got her half too, whatever that was worth to her now. The material things didn't matter as much as I thought they would. What mattered was my peace of mind, my integrity, my ability to sleep at night knowing I'd done the right thing. Last I heard, William married that woman in Minneapolis. Britney sent him a gift, apparently, someone told me that. I wondered if she thought about what she'd thrown away, about the stable life she'd had and traded for excitement that lasted all of 3 months. But that's her story now, not mine. My story is the house in Bayview, the career that's flourishing, the second chance at building something real. My story is learning that betrayal doesn't have to define you, that you can choose to move forward without bitterness eating you alive. Rachel and I are taking things slow, but it feels good, real, built on honesty from the start. We talk about our pasts, about what we want from the future, about how scared we both are to try again. I'm terrified of getting hurt again, she admitted one evening as we walked along the lakefront. Me too, I said, but I'm also terrified of letting fear keep me from living. She squeezed my hand. Then we'll be terrified together. My river development project broke ground in October. Thad gave me a speech at the ceremony about vision and persistence and building the future. I thought about how literal that was, how I'd spent the last year building my own future, one choice at a time. I'm not grateful for what Britney did. I wouldn't wish that pain on anyone. But I'm grateful for who I became after, someone more careful, more aware, but not cynical. Someone who still believes in love, just not the kind built on lies. Someone who knows that endings can also be beginnings, if you're brave enough to let them be. Thank you for watching the video to the end. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. A playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to is now displayed on the screen. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.